welcome back to the Brew Bowl for what is the pre-tournament summary for Season 3 of the Brew Bowl. So we've had a successful couple of seasons so far. We've made a few changes in the mid-season break, so we have changed up our playbook rules, we've changed up our experience system. It's the same group of fantastic players playing the game, but some people have changed their teams. We've got old NPC teams out, new NPC teams in, and also a couple of new interesting factors to the game which you can sort of follow along with on the AP Gaming Reel Discord. So once again, if you're following the Brew Bowl and you want to chat to the players or you want to participate in some way, make sure you join the AP Gaming Reel Discord. You'll find the Brew Bowl channel there as well. You can talk to all the players. Anyway, there's got quite a bit to get through today, so let's get into the summary document. Okay, so we'll start off by looking at the teams going into the Brew Bowl Season 3. And of course, first off, we have our returning champions, the Ascalon Gladiators, run by Fohammer. So Fohammer had he really wanted to keep his 4 main players in there. Physera, who is an absolutely fantastic blitzer with hit and run proving so great in the last season, plus picking up diving, tackle, dodge, catch, and sure feet. So a real star player material there. And of course, because she's coming into this season with those skills already, she's not subject to the draft. Then she's also got Naripoli, his thrower, has picked up safe, accurate and sure hands above and beyond the regular skills. 2 blockers, one who's picked up wrestle, one who has pro tackle and block. And from that point, it was just cheap, no skilled linemen, or no linewomen, I should say. 1 reroll plus the extra reroll for holding the previous season's cup gives the Gladiators the highest overall team value at 940 going into the new season's competition. Moving along to the Axolotl Coatls. So this is Pondo the Mad's team. So not a lot of changes here. Still has the 1 Croxagore and 3 blockers. Managed to bring all these blockers back, all with the block skill now, which is always good for a Lizard Man blocker. No other real skills, so not tiny. Croxagore has no skills. Very solid, dedicated fans of 6, so good money income there as well. But yeah, a team which did very well, did a lot better than some people expected in the last season, and we expect to see going well again in the new season to come. So our first NPC team, who we saw, well, initially this is sort of a storyline-wise, a pickup of Fohammer's team from Season 1, the Death River Reavers. They became the Death River Revengers after the Death Bowl game in Season 1. They appeared as a Nemesis team in Season 2, and they've returned here now as a ongoing team for Season 3. They've been built as a standard regular Orc team with a 700 point base value. So we've done it. Anything which was Tier 1 coming in new was 600. Anything Tier 2 was 700. Tier 3 was 800. Players got to bring their money over from the end of the previous season, so you'll see the player teams that are new still have more funds. But the Death River Revengers, 700 point team, 4 linemen, 2 blitzers, 2 blockers, no big guys. Pretty solid lineup for the Revengers, different from their 4 linemen, 4 blitzer run at the Nemesis game, but a bit more diversity of skills here. Well, not diversity of skills, but diversity of stats, and a couple of blocks there with the blitzers. Okay, then we have the Nemesis team. So Dynamis has let the Slum City Blight go. They have moved on to other things, and he is now in charge of the End of Valor Kodiaks, a Norse team. So we bid farewell to the Jarls. They now leave the game as an NPC team, but the Kodiaks are coming in as a PC team. 2 Wolfener, 2 Valkyries, 3 linemen, no skills, fresh team, but with a few funds, was able to bring in more positionals than you would normally get, and also have 2 re-rolls available to the Kodiaks. So I think it should be a fun team for Dynamis to play. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do compared to how the Jarls did during the competition. Okay, the Fanatics are a returning NPC team, our local Goblin team. So they were able to bring back pretty much all of their players. The only real change here was Lord Hunger really pushed me into dropping the Looney and replacing them with a Doom Diver. I've never used a Doom Diver in Blood Bowl before, but apparently for 1-town touchdowns, he can't be beat. So we put in Scruck, the Doom Diver, in place of what used to be Snoz the Loon, the old Looney. Otherwise, the list is basically unchanged. The same 4 linemen, the same 2 trolls, with their skills where relevant. plus a reroll and some coaches and cheerleader, gives us a nice solid start for a Goblin team. Okay, another new player team. So Lawson, who was previously playing the Outcasts, has sent them away, and we now have the Hidewan Harbours, a high elf team. So this is based on the fact that Lawson decided if he won his Nemesis match, he would play a full-on high elf team. If he lost by a narrow margin, he would play a high elf team, but with only a single positional. And if he won by a lot, or if he lost by a lot, he'd play a different team. So in this case, he lost closely, and so therefore he is brought along a high elf team, but with only a single positional, being the thrower, Ike the judge, and the other players are all linemen, but with a reroll, which is hard to get with a starting high elf team normally. So I think this team could be, despite the fact that on paper they only have one player with skills. High elves are a great team. They have that 2+ agility. They have good armor. Once this team starts to get some funds and starts to bring in some more positionals, it will become a really powerful team in the league. And I think that Lawson will show what he can do with it. All right, also returning, we have the Ironhold Hammerers, which is Big Spoon's team. Once again, Spoon really wanted to bring in Bo Jackson and Rain Lewison, but those two players were a huge chunk of his returning funds. So he has left them with 5 linemen to back them up. And a single reroll, although he will still be playing with the playbook which will allow him to get the McMurdy's sponsorship eventually, which gives him a second reroll to use during the game, although it won't reset during halves. But yeah, overall, this team is still very strong. I think that other than some bad luck in the last season, he could have gone all the way. I think that he will once again show us what he can do with a great team with great positioning when, it's really hard to get past the Dwarf line and it's really hard to stop them from getting past yours. So great work from Spoon last season, and we'll see what they can do again in the 3rd season. Another new NPC team, we have the Kemri City Scarabs, who of course also played in the Nemesis match last time. Could be a difficult team to play, I think. 4 Skeleton Linemen and 4 Tomb Guardians, so the only team with 4 big guys who all have move 4, although no Bonehead rule or anything like that type, so they can all act. But yeah, really those guys are really slow. Decay doesn't factor into 7s, so that sort of gives them a bit of a bonus that they don't have to worry about decay. But they scored during their Nemesis match, so you can just brute force your way across the field with Tomb Kings. But we'll see how well they do in the Brew Bowl season this time around. All right, our newly rebuilt Leichberg Knights, which is Lord Hunger's team. So in the space between the 2 seasons, the new vampire rules came out. We decided to rebuild the Knights as the new rules. So as you can see here, they've got a vampire thrower, a vampire blitzer, a vampire runner, and a Vargeist. So we just used the skills, all the skills the players had gotten as what they were before, which is just vampire blitzers. They were still eligible for in the new style, so we just moved them across and allowed Lord Hunger to continue playing with what is effectively the same team, just with a bit more diversity, and of course now the new Bloodlust rule. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes in the new season. So I guess watch this space. Lauren Forest Drakes are season 1 winners. Really had some trouble last season with with losing players to the draft and to death. So they still have their 2 real star players, Darday and Midi, their thrower catcher combination. But then have 2 new war dancers. I think one of them is actually Kazlak was at the end of the season too. But the rest of the players basically are new players and no rerolls. They had no funds to buy rerolls and also keep in thrower catcher and 2 war dancers. So big risk for the Drakes. They had a reroll last season from their trophy. No reroll this season. They've got leader on Darday, so that gives that one option. But we'll talk a bit more about how changes to the rules will affect the managers and therefore the team. Okay, Omar Krieg's team, the Northern Marauders, Chaos Chosen team. So this time around, he brought back his 2 of his blockers, Maloth and Cardia, who had claws and block respectively. He brought back in Foal his existing lineman, but brought his new lineman, a new blocker, and most importantly, dropped his troll and replaced it with a Minotaur. So he had good success with the Minotaur star player last time, and so he's got a Minotaur in the team now. No rerolls, but some sideline staff, and also some funds left over too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Omar can do with the team this time around. He really grew through the last season into the rule set and into the player set. So we'll see how that translates into gameplay in the coming season. Now we have the Oberstyre Wraiths, which were a Nemesis team from the last season. They are Necromantic Horror. So we have a no Flesh Golem team here. It's just 3 linemen, 2 Ghoul Runners, and 2 White Blitzers. So all in regeneration except for the Ghoul Runners. Means they can stay on the field even though they've only got 7 players. They're a fresh team, so no real extra skills. I think this team will struggle at the start. I'm not that good with this type of team, but we'll see if they can swing it around and start to score some touchdowns and win some games as we go further into the season. Now, a fan favourite, the Scravold Butchers, a Khorne team, is back again. They have dropped the Cleaver, who picked up some useless skill, I can't remember what it was now, and they have replaced a new Bloodspawn called Meathook. Still with the 2 Bloodseekers, both new players. The Khorne Gore Harak is back, as are Hevold, Relvaith, and Ruin, the Marauders from the last season. So yeah, they've got a reroll now, which gives them some more versatility. And yeah, the Butchers, you don't necessarily play them to win, you play them to do damage, and that they're good at. They got the overall foul total or top score for the last season. So the Butchers are just a fun team to play to really mess with your opponents, and nobody looks forward to facing the Butchers as far as I can tell. The Slow Thicket Panther Raiders are back, much to my chagrin, by the voting of the fans. They were being played again. 2 Treemen, a catcher, and 4 linemen. A few returning players, so Patchwood, Donningham, and Heathertoes. Well, actually, all the players here are actually returning players, but with some skills there. So you've got a Pro, a Block, a Dauntless, and also one of the Treemen has multiple Block and Pro as well. So, yeah, quite a powerful... should be the case. I think multiple Block shouldn't be on there, or at least the cost is wrong there. I might need to take multiple Block off. I think that was on a different Treeman. I'll check that out. Anyway, have a reroll, assistant coaches as well. So, yeah, look, the halfling team can sometimes do well. I realised before we'd gotten the throw teammate player rules wrong, or got throw teammate rules wrong, where there is always a deviation, even if you are on target. So we'll make sure we get that right going forward, especially with the Doom Diver now. That's very important. But yeah, we'll see the Raiders in game soon. The Warpstone Enslavers, this is AP Gaming Reel's Skaven team. Once again, really wanted to bring in some key players, so the Gravemaker was a 200k player, the most expensive player in the game. AP wanted to bring him back in again. Dawn Michaels and Triple H both came back in. No skills though, so they get treated as though they are fresh players. And then this time around, he dropped the Blitzer and instead decided to go for a second Gutter Runner in the form of Rat Mysterio. And then just having 4 linemen who could obviously learn the skills of the Blitzer as well. No rerolls this time though, despite having 2 rerolls last time. But with an Apothecary and a decent fan base as well. Then we have the Viesbrook Warrior Priests, which is our last NPC team, a human team. Once again, a Nemesis team, originally from AP's match. 3 linemen, thrower, catcher, blitzer, ogre combination. I probably should have gone thrower, catcher, blitzer, blitzer. But when you've got access to big guys, people want to see them, so I figure we get it out there. They've got 1 reroll as well. The Garena Guerrero thrower catcher combination is supposed to be a brother and sister team, although it's probably not long before one of them gets targeted and taken out. So I think human teams are underrated. I think they can do well in the competition. And so we'll see how this one does this time around. Let's take a look at our NPC team managers. So in the previous 2 seasons of the Brew Bowl, PCs got to pick up a playbook using Powered by the Apocalypse, and they could then develop that playbook and get extra skills. And over the course of the first season, and especially into the second season, that gave the players a huge edge. So not only did we revamp the playbook and the XP system, but we've decided to give the NPC team managers a playbook as well. The difference is that it will cost NPC team managers twice as much XP as it costs PC managers to get improvements. So they will always be a bit behind the PCs, but they will not always be losing out to manager rerolls and abilities to re-roll, double skulls, or change the weather, they will also pick up ones as well. So we have 8 NPC team managers here. We'll go through them one by one. So the Butchers, as we previously determined, Acorn the Squirrel is the team owner and directs a meat puppet in the form of a corn warrior by whispering in his ear. So Acorn has the former player playbook and has picked up 2 advances so far. The Drakes have a Glamourweave kindred by the name of Nanara Skeenweaver. She is a talent scout and has 7 advances, so quite an advanced player there from around 90 XP, I think the Drakes had altogether. The Fanatics, the death match between Meek and Reek was won. Unfortunately, Reek is dead. Meek is no longer a commentator. He has, in fact, taken over the Fanatics team after the last manager ran away with all the money. So there will be new halftime commentators. But Meek, emboldened and empowered by slaying his brother at the suggestion of Lord Hunger, has now taken over the Fanatics and will be running it going forward with 2 advances as a former official. The Raiders are a halfling team. Their team manager, Satmuch Greenhill, was once, well, human teams have water boys, halfling teams have pie boys to take out hot steaming pies to the team during breaks. This particular pie boy, though, when the old owners left, he had an opportunity to come in and run the team as the new de facto owner and has 4 advances. He's well supported by the fans who financially enable him to run the team as he sees fit, making sure, of course, everybody gets their fair share of pies. The Revengers, who are run by the goblin once known as Hob, now known as Nazwonk Dribblenose, or that's his real name before he was renamed Hob by Bungo Quickfoot, is a wealthy noble. He has come into fund somehow, and that has allowed the Revengers to reconstitute and reappear in the Brew Bowl once more. The Scarabs, which are led by Steneth the Twisted, a sorcerer of Zinch who purports to be a cultist of Nuffle, is he's the leader of the Scarabs, not actually a Tomb King. The Warrior Priests are led by a Warrior Priest of Sigmar by the name of Ulrich Kallenbach, who has the Ascended Van playbook. And then finally, the Wraiths are run by a vampire countess named Maria Engelberg, who has the fledgling Necromancer rule. So, of course, that might seem like a waste to pick up the skill which gives your players regeneration when the Whites already have that, but the Ghouls don't. And losing Ghouls can really break an undead team. So if she gets that particular trait, that will mean that every player on that team has regeneration and has a chance to get back onto the board. Now, the last thing we did is we've also started a fantasy football league around this. So the players who want to participate, which is 7 of them, drafted up their own team of players, and each week at the end of the round, we will count up all the touchdowns, all the passes, all the casualties, all the fouls, all the injuries scored by these players, and they will add to their players' fantasy league score. There are rules that allow the players to trade players, to have them drafted and changed during the course of the season. But initially, I just thought I'd show you the draft. So Big Spoon here has taken the Minotaur, Minzor from the Marauders, Bo Jackson, his own runner, Kleist Eichvold from the Knights, the thrower, right block Doss from the Quaddles, which is a blocker as well, and then 3 linemen, 1 from the Hammerers, 1 from the Quaddles, 1 from the Knights. Dynamis has taken the much sought after Physera. He got the first pick in the first round, so he went straight for Physera. He has the Harbor's thrower, Ike the Judge, one of the Valkyries from the Kodiaks, Aneta, the thrower from the Warrior Priest, Gareno Brecker, and then a total of 5 linemen. So 1 from the Fanatics, 2 from the Butchers, 1 from the Raiders, and 1 from the Knights. We've then got Fohammer, who drafted in his own blocker, Sabi, along with the Troll Slayer with the highest casualty count from the Hammerers, Rain Lewison, Minnie, everyone's favourite / least favourite catcher from the Drakes, and the new gutter runner Rat Mysterio from the Enslavers, along with 3 linemen, 1 from the Hammerers, 1 from the Gladiators, and 1 from the Kodiaks. Lawson definitely went for big numbers here, picking up the Troll, Nolgric Fungus Fist, Nerepoli from the Gladiators, the thrower, Dawn Michaels, the high-scoring gutter runner from the last season, and Harak, the Butcher's Ball Carrier Corngore, and then lots of linemen. So 1 from the Quaddles, 1 from the Raiders, 1 from the Gladiators, 1 from the Fanatics, two Raiders, 1 Gladiators, 1 Fanatics, 2 Scarabs. So, yeah, a lot of different players there to pick up the points as they go through the season. Lord Hunger, he took Meathook, the Bloodspawn from the Butchers. Dade, the champion thrower from the Drakes. One of the two, actually, Korg is one of the, is he one of the runners? He's one of the Ghoul runners, yes. And then Scruck, the Doom Diver, since it was his suggestion I bring a Doom Diver in. Along with 6 Linemen, 1 Harbourers, 1 Marauders, 1 Enslavers, 1 Fanatics, 1 Knights, and 1 Wraiths. Omar Krieg brought in the Gravemaker, the single highest costing player, along with Sonia Vonhoff from the Knight, their Blitzer. Triple H, the Enslaver's thrower, only going for 3 positionals when he could have had 4. He also went for 5 Linemen in the form of 1 Marauders, 1 Butchers, 1 Revengers, 1 Warrior Priests, and 1 Fanatics. And finally, Pondo the Mad drafted in his own Kroxigor, along with one of the Knights, the Vampire Runner, Lana Metzger, the other Valkyrie from the Kodiaks, one of the Blackhawk Blockers from the Revengers, and then 4 Linemen, 1 from the Drakes, 1 from the Quaddles, 1 from the Gladiators, and 1 from the Enslavers. Let's take a look at the first round of Season 3, and our first set of games will be the Obistai race versus the Norscan Marauders. The race don't have any history in the Brew Bowl to generate a score on, but the Marauders are sitting at a score of 8.6. That will make more sense once all these teams have played a game. They'll have comparable scores going into the second round. The Revengers and the Gladiators will take on, so this is once again a repeat of the Nemesis match, although this time the Revengers are the home team. Gladiators have a total score of 9.2. No score for the Revengers to review just yet. The Scarabs of the Fanatics, our first NPC-only game, will feature the 9.5 scoring Fanatics versus the yet-to-be-scored Scarabs. And then our first player versus player match, the Hammerers versus the Knights. The Hammerers have a score of 11.8. The Knights, we could generate a score, but it would be based on the old player positionals, so I've left this one as blank, basically. Something we're going to go into after the first round. The second part of round 1 sees the Quaddles take on the Butchers. The Quaddles here have a score of 7.2 to the Butchers' 11.8. And now the Butchers have a high score there because they do a lot of fouling, but Pondo the Mad's manager, Mo Jadden, has an ability which punishes the fouling team. So will the Butchers still foul? Maybe, probably, almost certainly. Will it work out for them? Maybe not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. The Enslavers take on the Drakes. Yeah, so once again, the Enslavers, one of the few teams that's actually AP Game Real being one of the few players who has defeated the Drakes. In this case, the Enslavers have a score of 8.5 and the Drakes a score of 9.3. So quite close. Maybe as relatively fresh teams, it will be hard for both teams, but I think that I could do well with the Drakes, but AP's also got really good with the Skaven too, and he's got those 2 Gutter Runners which could run circles around the Woodolls. We'll have to wait and see. The Kodiaks and the Harbourers are our other player versus player team, or player versus player match. No scores for either of these teams, they are both new, so we'll see how they go there. And then finally, our other NPC match, the Warrior Priests versus the Raiders. Warrior Priests yet to rack a score up in the Brew Bowl, but the Raiders sitting at 7.9, the second lowest score of the returning teams. So I like the Warrior Priest there, but we'll see. The Raiders are an experienced team. So that is it for the summary of Season 3 of the Brew Bowl. There's going to be a lot more action here, a lot more special rounds, a lot more fun to be had with a great group of players. Please do enjoy it on Facebook. Please do come across to the AP Gamer on Discord channel and discuss it with us. Let us know you love it. Let us know you love it in the comments. Don't forget to like this channel and subscribe if you want to get every single Brew Bowl game as it comes up. And ring that bell as well. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you so much for supporting us. Really great that you guys enjoy it. We look forward to seeing how you respond to Season 3 of the Brew Bowl. Take care.